Earlier, we told you that President Bola Tinubu seems to be on the verge of appointing new ambassadors. And to discuss that, we are being joined by public affairs analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you so much for joining us. But to start a conversation, I'd like to know, how do you think President Tinubu's planned ambassador appointment, fits with Nigeria's current foreign policy goals, especially, looking at its new emphasis on economic partnership and regional security?
Well, thank you. Good evening, Nigerians, and from wherever you're watching us. I guess this is long overdue. 2 years without our ambassadors and high commissioners substantive in their respective places since October 2023. It's a serious lapse in foreign diplomacy. And I don't think Mr. President is actually serious about foreign policy. A lot of things that our ambassadors and high commissioners should be doing is being done by the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. And that's just a mere commission. In many places, you have chargé affairs who do not have the official capacity to speak for the country. So in terms of regional security and trade partnership, this is why it's more important. Nigeria is a member of BRICS. Nigeria has bilateral and multilateral institutions that is partnering with, including the European Union. You need very strong, experienced diplomats to, oversee some of these portfolios. And when you talk about security, look at the recent Donald Trump verbal threat against Nigeria. I think that's even what has brought to the fore this urge to now appoint these envoys. Because prior to then, everything has been in the cooler. Early in the year, we had some names being bandied all over the social media. Oh, Reno Mokiri is on it. Femi Fanikawade is there. But that was in the first quarter of this year, and everything went quiet until Donald Trump tweets about Christian genocide and the need for the government to do something. Otherwise, he was going to come gun a-blazing to take out the bad boys. And that's when the news, there was a new buzz about this envoys being appointed. In fact, media speculation as of last week said they will be named this week. But now we are hearing in the coming weeks. So maybe before Christmas, we will have these people in place. But like I said earlier on, it's long overdue.
But if you say that maybe before Christmas, and let's even imagine that before Christmas, the ambassadors are appointed or at least named, that's quite fast. Should we be worried about the quality in the appointment, being that the president has not been able to do this for 2 years, and now he will have to do it in weeks?
Well, no, from what I've read, it's not as if there was no list. There has been a list. What I read as of last week was that some of the people on the list are either dead or retired, or they are no longer holding, or they are about to retire. Maybe they have 1 year left on their career. Don't forget, there are two categories of diplomats that are appointed. You have career diplomats and then the politicians. So the politicians, of course, we know 2027 is around the corner. In another less than 2 years from now, there will be another election. So again, this is about reward for political support. But for the career politicians, what I learned was that because some of them are about to retire, some have retired, some have died, and some have gotten a different appointment. That is why the government could not announce it as last week. So what I believe, what news reports said is that there is a draft list before the National Assembly, which has been there since early this year. And that draft list is what is now being revised, updated, so to speak. And so those who have like 1 year to go on their career will be removed from the list. Those who have retired will be removed from the list. Those who have died will be removed from the draft list. And then maybe, of course, political loyalty may have changed for some politicians that have made the initial draft. So a lot of things, but it's just about weeding out and then updating the list. So I don't think it should actually take too long before the naming. But what I think we should be more worried about is, will these ambassadors and high commissioners and diplomats, will they be well-resourced? Will they be well-resourced when they resume at their duty post? Because what we learned from 2023 was that under Buhari administration, many of these foreign missions were ill-equipped, starved of funds. Even the diplomats, the career civil servants in those missions are whole salaries, no money to run the embassies. And that's when Buhari noted the idea of shutting down some of the foreign missions. But whatever Tinubu wants to do, it should be very clear whether he wants to prune down the number. I know we have about 197 countries across the globe. He may not have the financial muscle to have diplomats or to have high commissioners and ambassadors in all of them. But one person can cover for two countries. For instance, I know the European Union has one ambassador that covers the West African sub-region that is resident in Nigeria. So there could be some cost-cutting measures like that, where you just make sure that you position a very strategic place, you appoint seasoned, knowledgeable, experienced diplomat. Because we need to make this very clearly. One, the missions, foreign missions must be well-resourced. Secondly, you must appoint round-pegging randos, not politicians who commit a lot of gaffe and goof and then who embarrass us in the Committee of Nations. You need experienced people who are well steeped in diplomatics, people who are, who have the wealth of experience to do, and that's the kind of people you will expect to be posted to countries like US, UK, Canada, Germany, and very vital, very sensitive missions abroad. Not politicians who may not really have the finesse that is expected of a diplomat.
You've talked about something quite interesting, which is the fact that we need to be careful with the appointments. But I'd like to know, how this appointments would, move Nigeria away or affect Nigeria's, foreign policies towards more of a globally balanced, approach, especially the fact that, Nigeria's policies are usually Africa-focused.
Well, we have been Afrocentric for a while, but that's not to say, in fact, many countries are no longer Afrocentric. They are country first, like America first. You hear also many African leaders say Nigeria first, and everybody is claiming their country first. So basically, it's about Nigeria first, and then maybe West Africa, then Africa, then the global community. But whatever focus we have what an institution called National Institute for International Affairs in Lagos, where president can draw a lot of lessons, perhaps ask them for a policy brief that could be helpful in shaping our foreign policy objectives. It's headed by Professor Ewosa Osaga of University of Ibadan, and now previously Vice Chancellor of Ibadan University, and now the Director General of NIE. You also have the foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs. So between the National Institute for International Affairs and Minister of Foreign Affairs, they can come up with policy brief. What should be Nigeria's, foreign policy objectives? If there is no one, if one does not currently exist, and then when the appointments are made, they have to go through the Senate screening, and that may take some time, which is why I said, even when they are appointed right now, they still have to go through that screening. So the earliest time they will be deployed will be first quarter of next year. Because I know that aside from screening the ambassadors, you also have budget to contend with in the coming weeks, the budget for 2026. So, by and large, the most important thing is that if there is no foreign policy objectives right now, the National Institute for International Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can collaborate to craft one which will be shared with the new ambassadors. They will undergo some kind of retreat, imbibe these foreign policy objectives, and then very important, I cannot overemphasize the importance of being well-resourced. When these diplomats are eventually appointed, they must have full complement of personnel and then financial resources to be able to do what is expected of them.
All right.
The world has become a global village, but be that as it may, you cannot run the embassies just virtually. You need boots on ground, you need wealth of experience, you need funds to be able to do the needful.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ojo, for having this conversation with us.
My pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.